This video is going to be a continuation of another video I did that is a tutorial on how to add name-dependent variants. And the most common question I got on that one in the comments was how to add name-dependent variants for bows, crossbows, fishing rods, special type models that have multiple states. And what that means basically is, how the bow, it starts out as just a bow and then you draw it back and then the string pulls back. And that's actually different models being loaded in. And the item states of Minecraft define that. And not every item can have every definition. Like you can't pull back a totem of undying by right clicking it. That doesn't work. I specifically want to explain to you how to add name dependent variants for special type models like the bow, right? Which like I said, have a bunch of models inside it. And the best way to do that is kind of to explain code a little bit. And I'm not even a coder. I just make pack code, but I've kind of figured out a little bit how it works. I guess it's very logical, and I hope that I can convey it a little bit, because the best way to make that sort of stuff is to learn how to fish, sort of say. Today we're going to be using a couple of sites and programs. The first one is miso.github.io. It just appeared someday by this guy, Miso, the total absolute legend. I don't know how he does this, but it's phenomenal. If you're using it, always make sure that there's this green button here and you can set the right version for the game version that you're using. And that's important because the item state systems, they add features, they change features sometimes. So it might be different for different versions. So I'm on the latest version as of now. But yeah, that's important. Check the version. Then you have a button here, presets, and search for item states in vanilla Minecraft, and then click them and it will load up the vanilla item state, which is well, I don't really use that so much. Honestly, what I also recommend you do is extract the default assets. So this is my copy of the default assets, right? Many tutorials on how to do this. This is something you should probably have done before you're watching this tutorial. It's really like step one of pack making. And then in the items folder, you'll find the default item states. And I just like to work this way. And then I have a program. It's called Notepad++. It's free and it allows you to open the item states just like a text editor. But this one is made for code. So basically it highlights brackets. You see that, how the brackets are highlighted? It also kind of shows you errors, like if I remove this bracket here, then the code breaks. If I select this bracket at the top, it's red now. You see that? It's a little bit useful, right? It gives you a little bit of a guide on what to do, if stuff breaks. But specifically, it's useful to see which brackets are part of a set, right? Every bracket needs a closing bracket. That's basically how the code works. This is how it comes in vanilla Minecraft. And how you should visualize these brackets is kind of like a box. This bracket turns yellow now. It might be a different color for you. Notepad++ allows you to set themes, right? So the colors can be different. But this bracket gets colored now and it's linked to this one, which means that all the text that's in between that's in the box, well, that's part of the box, right? And that's why you need the opening bracket. You can imagine that as the lid, right? And then it also has a lid at the bottom, I guess. I don't know. It's a shulker box, okay? So it's a shulker box. There's a shulker shell at the bottom and a shulker shell at the top. And then in that shulker shell, there can just be one thing. So let's say that it's really simple. Then we can just find what the shulker box is here by looking at which brackets get highlighted. This is going a bit fast, but I'm just going to do it quickly to show you how versatile this system is if you kind of get to know it. So I'm going to select the top lid and the bottom lid, and then all the stuff that's inside the shulker box, which is type Minecraft model, which basically means what's the model type? It's just a model. It's nothing special. It's just one model. And the model is, and then this is just the item model location in your pack, right? Or the default assets in this case. So bottom of the shulker box, top of the shulker box, and I'm going to replace it with the lids of this shulker box. We can't replace the outer box. That needs to consistently exist. The mother box, right? The mother shulker box. We can't replace that. But this one, from this bracket right here, all the way to this one, that's one connection. That's one shulker box with the content inside it. And we can replace that all simply with our box that we had copied, which was the top lid, the bottom of the lid, which replaced the other box, right? So that created a perfect box. And inside it is just a simple model. This will not really work for the bow because it will change the bow to be this model eternally. But practically, this item state completely works, right? Just to showcase how the boxes work. And the box that we had just copied was the box of the on-false state. So it's saying on false to something. What is that about, the on false? Well, we can find out quickly here. The type of this box, right? So there's like, I guess there's labels on the inside of the box, right? And the labels say that the type is a condition, all right? And then it just says on false, kind of confusing. Well, the thing is, the label can be also at the bottom of the box, all right? So we have a top shulker box lid, and then we have the contents inside it, which can also just be a shulker box. And inside there can even be another shulker box, all right? So we're just nesting shulker boxes now at this point. So you have the top lid, the bottom lid of the box, another shulker box in the middle, right? And then the label can also just be under the middle circle box. All right, it doesn't really matter where it is, and that's where this might be confusing because it says type condition and then it says on false. Well, what's the condition? Well, you can just follow this line all the way to the bottom, right? And you'll come across this bracket, and this bracket makes a box with this. Right? And then there's a comma, which means that this property label is not part of this box. It is actually part of this box because it's inside the box. And we could also move this to the top. It will still work. It doesn't matter where it is. If you do that, also got to remove the comma here. The comma basically means that there's more information coming. So if we were to paste it at the top here, there wasn't a comma before because it was the last line in the sequence. Then we'll want to add a comma to the end of this property line here, just because there is more coming, right? Before we inserted this line, the type was above the on false, and then this ended with a comma. So it still needs to end with a comma so it can properly go into the off false. And this is the same exact effect. I just think it's a little bit cleaner because the labels are in the same place now, right? The type label and the property label, which now tells us what does the on false mean. So property using item on false, meaning if you're not using the item. As you can see, it has a choker lid here, which means it's asking for some information. We already went over this. It's a really simple model, but that makes sense because if it is not being used, it is just a simple model. It is just a passive bow sprite, right? No arrow. That makes sense. On false, we know what happens, but on true, there is a choker box here. You can see there's a full box here, but it is a bit more advanced information. And honestly, you don't even need to know what it does. You just need to know what the boxes represent. And I think I've explained that plenty right now, because we're going to get to the meat and bones. Bones and meat and potatoes, meat and bones. I don't really know how to say that, but we're gonna get to the important part now of the tutorial, which is implementing the boxes into an item state with name dependent. It's really easy. The type is select. I'm gonna get rid of all this information that I don't need anymore. The property is component, and the component is, there you go, custom name. Then we add some cases, and these are the custom names. So let's say that we have a bow, we name it Juan, and then we can also add a fallback here, as you can see, which you should always include, because the fallback to this component, if it has a custom name, that means no, it doesn't have a custom name. So that's the default bow. All right, so you also need to have something under the fallback. And that's just how to add any name-dependent item. So this could be for a totem, a sword, any item that isn't special like a bow. And I'm just going to download this code as it is, because this is already going to be enough to work with, okay? I'm going to open it. This is exactly the code we just created. There's the big outer choker box, which never has any labels on the outside. In there is another choker box. That's this choker box right here. And that is going to be the basis of your name-dependent bow item state. And basically, I'm just going to start pasting the code, the choker boxes of the default bow into here until it works, okay? So first of all, I'll do the fallback, which I talked about. It should just be the default bow, but it shouldn't be the default bow model. It should be the default bow choker box with all the information inside. So we're going to select basically all of this. Remember, we're not selecting the inventory. We're selecting only the choker boxes inside, and we need all the information. So I'm literally going to select all of it, right? From the top opening yellow bracket right here to the bottom one. And then in our new file that we just made quickly, I'm going to look for the fallback choker box, which is completely empty because I haven't even filled out the labels in the site. But that's fine. I didn't need to because I knew that I was going to replace the choker box inside of it. Literally just select from this bracket to this bracket, right? The full box from lid to bottom lid and paste it. And this is going to work. It looks really wacky right now, but it is accurate. If you want to test if it works, in between, you can select all your code and then just paste it in the Miso site, right, in the bottom right, and then click away, and it's going to look, it does work. See that? It's going to reorganize it. Because this formatting, it doesn't actually matter if it looks neat. I just prefer it if it looks neat, right? So it's easier to work with. We can see that we already implemented the choker box fallback. So you're already halfway there. The default bow works. This item state already would work completely, right? The code is already done, except for if you named it Juan, it would break because we didn't include anything in this choker box. But maybe you already see coming what I'm about to do. I mean, I'm honestly just going to take the choker box off the entire bow again because it has the code that works. It is a choker box that works. And then I'm going to find the choker box in Juan, right, which is this. You can see that, and I'm just gonna paste it in, and it's gonna look ugly. I'll copy it again, put it in this side again, so it'll reformat it so it looks prettier on the eyes again, and it does work. You can see that one is now one full case that we have added of name dependence. The only problem now is that it's telling the game to use the default bow models. So technically it works. This is a perfect usable item state. You have a bow, it'll look like the default bow, and if you name it one, it'll still look like the default bow. But yeah, obviously that's probably not what you want, right? Maybe you have a folder called bow in your pack, like me, and in there you have Juan, and that also tells you that you'll probably need Juan pulling one. as a model. Oh, I messed it up because I just said that it should be in the bow folder. And I recommend you do that. That's not needed. You can choose where your item models are. I recommend you do put it in subfolders. It just ultimately, once you start getting a big pack, that's going to make sense. So yeah, we need a one pulling 1. We need one pulling 2. We need one pulling 0. And that's it. You're done. If at any point you want to hop back into the Miso site, you can just paste your code in here, right? And it'll update here. And then if we want to add another case, you can also easily do it like this, right? You can do it manually. Type something in here again. Bimpo, that's another bow rename that I have. And you'll need to do the whole thing again. You'll need to paste the bow shulker box in this code again. But I personally, at that point, don't even go back to the Miso site because I know how the cases work. This is a square bracket, but it's still just a shulker box lid. And if it ever gets messy, you just need to reset to a point that worked and see where it went wrong, because it's very logical, right? There's always boxes and lids that are the same, and they should always connect. So this is a shulker box, and the cases work such that you can just add a comma, and then you can add another case. So literally, we can just add Bimpo like this, all right? We don't actually need to go to the Miso site. And then, of course, we're going to want to change the models of the bow as well. Otherwise, what's the point? And there you go. I mean, this is literally how you would do it for any item, right? It's the same for a crossbow. The crossbow is just a little bit of a bigger shulker box, but don't be intimidated by it, all right? I'm just going to select the entire shulker box, except for the outside inventory, right? I'll revert this back to the state it was when we first downloaded it, which was very bare bones. And then within 1 minute, I'll have it back to a functioning item state, you know, because I know what the shulker boxes are. The fallback, this time it's a crossbow, so it needs to be the code of the vanilla crossbow. Boom. Or your own pack crossbow, of course. I mean, it's just about the fallback. And then under cases, we have cross-quan, and I'm going to replace that shulker box as well with the code of the default crossbow. But yeah, again, I'm just going to put different models in. I'm going to leave all the properties alone. I mean, you could change it if you want the crossbow to change at different speeds. If you look at this code, you could even change the amount of pullback states, theoretically. Have I explained it? I think I have. Can you do it yourself now? Look, we'll copy this entire code and we'll paste it in the Miso site, see if it works. It does, because it starts to reformat it. We could also just scroll here, check for errors. The Miso site will also tell you if there's any errors. And I'm just going to paste it back in here to format it nicely, you know, just so it's easier to differentiate the shulker boxes. That's like the biggest part, right? Being able to switch code blocks around. I mean, Minecraft code is crazy because you can have shulker boxes inside shulker boxes. I could select this entire shulker box and just put it inside crossquan. So if you name it crossquan, this is going to make no sense even, but I could just do it. Look, I'll trace the line back to the bottom and I'll replace it with that. It'll become massive, of course. And what we've now done, which makes no sense in the actual game, if you name it crossquan, it's gonna turn into a model that if you name it crossquan, it, you know, fine. It's like those Russian nesting dolls, all right? Shulker boxes inside shulker boxes. I don't know why I just showed it off. That's stupid. Never do that. That makes no sense. I'm just showing you that I know how to use the code, and that you should also know how to use the code, because then you can do infinite stuff with item states. That's how you do it. So that's gonna be the video for me. Very technical. I really hope this helped. If it did though, then you know how to fish now. You can do so much. You really need to know how to shift around those code blocks. It'll just that's your workflow basically. It's so much faster and it gives you so much freedom and so much understanding of the system. So I don't know. I personally had a hard time conveying it. I thought it was very vague substance, especially me not being a coder. Like I'm just like, this is just what I learned, right? It makes sense because code makes sense. So I hope I conveyed it. I don't know, let me know, like and subscribe, comment below, and also what you want to see next from me, of course. One last tip that I'm going to leave you with, and this is super vital, okay? This is super important. It's like one last tip, but it is a really important thing. You should still pay attention to this. In the Minecraft launcher, you need to enable the game output log. How do you do it? You just, in the launcher, go to settings, and then under general settings, you scroll down, and then it says Minecraft Java Edition settings, open output log when Minecraft Java Edition starts. It'll be disabled by default. I'm going to enable it, and you always want that enabled, okay? It's just super important. And now if we go back to Java Edition and we click play, look, it's gonna open this window once Minecraft launches. The window is going to show you all the errors the game runs into, and a lot of that can be related to your pack, and I actually see some errors that I have here. It has a lot more info than you need, but there is also a search tag. So let's say as you're working on a bow, you can just type in the keywords bow. Luckily, I have no errors for bow, but yeah, that is one way you could find errors, because it will tell you. So it's a lot to skim through, but look, it does tell you missing model for variant. You know, it's going to tell you stuff that doesn't work. So a lot of people are asking, why does my pack not work? I mean, I don't know. Have you checked the game output log? No, because it's not enabled by default. So you want to enable that, you can just close it and Minecraft will still run, no problem. But I think that is good. That has been my tutorial. What do you think? I already asked. Okay, that's it then. Okay, bye. Have a nice day.